So the Supreme Court has now decided that you can register any of what George Carlin famously called the 7 dirty words and get a federal registered trademark in those words. There is this kind of antiquated provision of the federal trademark statute called the Lanham Act from 1946, which says that although almost anything under the sun can be trademarked, it can't be trademarked if it's what we call immoral or scandalous. Courts have long defined immoral and scandalous as words that are offensive or vulgar, shocking to the conscience of the general public. So this case involves a trademark application by Eric Brunetti, who sought to register FUCT as the name of his new apparel line. FUCT was considered to be a vulgar term and therefore rejected on those grounds. But Mr. Brunetti challenged that rejection on the ground that it violated his First Amendment rights. And not surprisingly, the Supreme Court was unanimous in finding that discriminating against marks on the basis of their immorality is viewpoint discrimination, which patently violates the First Amendment. So this doesn't mean that we're going to see a marketplace now suddenly flooded with f and shit and damn on every t-shirt or mug. I think producers are going to make the same kinds of decisions about whether or not that's appropriate for their audiences or the marketplace as a whole or not. And the key issue here is that it's not up to the government to make those decisions. Just 2 years ago, justices had to deal with the constitutionality of trademark registrations in disparaging marks. And in fact, the court said it was the greatest boast of the First Amendment to protect speech that might be considered hate speech. Congress now has been invited essentially by the justices to draw a more narrow statute that just focuses on profanity. That kind of a narrowly drawn statute would survive First Amendment scrutiny. So what we're left with after the Brunetti decision is that hate speech, the most hateful kind of speech, including the N-word, we can't prohibit trademark registration in that, but we can most likely down the line prohibit trademark registration in